Another chapter covers delimitation, which is currently a hot potato politically. What are your views and what are your suggestions on delimitation?
See, I have spent quite a lot of time thinking about this delimitation issue, particularly because it's now likely to start in 2026. This is right, very this year it is supposed to start. As you know, as you rightly put it, it has been frozen. The 1971 census has been frozen, and effectively under Article 81, 82, etc., the seats of Parliament are 550. And they will be. See, there is a time. In fact, go to the Constituent Assembly. The mantra was 1 million electors for one seat in the Assembly. So for every 1 million, you have one representative. So if you go by that, then we should have 1,400 members in Parliament, 1 million per seat. Yeah. So that I don't think is possible. Secondly, see, you like Hugo said, you can't stop an idea whose time has come. There is also a flip side to this. There is also a time where this idea has to be buried once and for all. Now, this delimitation, at least in my personal view, because of the existing politics, because of the differences in population explosion, south versus north divide, as all of us know that if you impose delimitation, now everybody in the country knows it's going to impact the southern states very badly and it's going to benefit the northern states. So virtually after some time, you don't need the southern states. The northern states can pass through any amendment without bothering about the southern state votes. That is not going to be acceptable. It may lead to serious social upheavals and so on. I personally feel it is time to permanently freeze 550 seats once and for all. Like in the US, you got the Senate has 50 members, so that's the end of it. There is no question of whether the population is 200 million or 400 million. You're going to have more number of seats. That's not going to happen. We'll just keep 550 seats permanently. One thing, and then you even if there are a disproportionate vote, it's all right for two reasons. One, there are far more pressing problems which face the country now than getting into delimitation. You're going to have a huge social cost of getting into delimitation. Secondly, if you really want to increase seats, then as I suggested in my article, keep the same proportion. If Tamil Nadu has 40 seats out of 550, then you make it 700, make it 800, make it 1000. They will continue to have 40 is to 50, the same pro rata proportion continues. That will at least not be a ground to complain. What I want to ask is, what is the purpose in having, if you're going to have 800 members, how are you going to subserve the constitutional requirements? Because ultimately, the role of the legislature is to make laws. Members of parliament to sit in parliamentary committees, deliberate upon laws. How will 800 members going to improve the functioning of parliament if we are not going to refer bills to the parliamentary committees, if there's not going to be proper debates in parliament, if there's going to be this kind of disruption? I really don't know what is the purpose will be served by having 800 members or 900 members. Number one. Number two, what is the additional cost of keeping 800 members? Housing for the members, allowances for the members, with no benefit to the nation. That's a slightly cynical view. But at this point of time, increasing it to 800, will it make any difference to the major problems we are facing in terms of employment, in terms of economic growth, and so on and so forth? I think as you said, it's a hot potato. Better to keep this potato in cold storage, just freeze it to 550 and be done with it. That's my personal view. Or if you increase it, then make it in proportion.
The report suggests that the distribution be frozen until 2126 or until the fertility rates the states
TFR,
converge.
yes.
Now, the question is that, today, let me give you an example. Today, the population of the southern states is about 27 crore, and they have 129 seats. UP has a population of 24 crores and has 80 seats. If you look at the forecasted population in 2126, UP will have 66% more in terms of population than the South, because UP comes down slowly, but the South comes down much faster. And then still, the South will have more seats than UP. So my question is that should one look at you written about the report talks about the Rajya Sabha, 6 seats per state. Should the Rajya Sabha become more powerful like the Senate to remove this problem that we have of Lok Sabha being the dominant? If the Rajya Sabha was as dominant as the US Senate, then a 6 seats per state would much more resolve that problem than all this what you think you're doing for 100 years, holding up delimitation. Because today, the US House, there are still states with 1 seat, and there are 2 senators. Because the senator, so that if you make that House more powerful, give it more financial powers, then could that resolve the problem in some way?
No, I don't think so, because you see, we can't adopt the American model. We have adopted the Westminster model, and the Rajya Sabha is not exactly like the House of Lords, but it's like the State of Elders. We had a bicameral legislation. The point I wanted to make was, if you're increasing the Lok Sabha seats, then proportionately you will increase Rajya Sabha as well. So the role of the Rajya Sabha is important, because in certain bills, the Rajya Sabha's approval also is necessary, except in finance bills. It has to get the approval of the Rajya Sabha also. So I would suggest keep the same, the current ratio of what Lok Sabha is to Rajya Sabha. If you increase it, keep that increasing on a pro rata basis. So that will not give any grievance to the southern states, or not, and that they are losing at the cost of the northern states, and so on. You see, because what's happening is southern states, as it is, there's a serious tension because of the delimitation, because of language, because of other reasons. So it will only exacerbate the rift between the north and the south if you go down this delimitation path only on the basis of the number of people. And 2020, 21, 26 is 100 years away. Who knows at what time TFR will come in, what will happen? That's too long a period. We should, for the sake of certainty, because see, once you put that problem away, then you can focus on the other things which are bothering the nation. You see? I thought that we have now missed this bus of delimitation because of Indian population. And the 4 options, many of them, whichever option you take, I studied these options for this interview. These 4 options, every option is riddled with so many problems. If you take this option, then there are so many minus signs. So that becomes the issue. So I think ultimately the best thing is just keep the same thing going. If you're increasing seats, do on the same base. Let Tamil Nadu, Karnataka have the same proportion, then there's no problem. And other difficulty of delimitation is, what happens to assemblies? Are you going to increase all the number of MLAs in every state? You have to. What will be the huge cost? And is it worth it?
And, I asked, there is a body called PRS legislator.
Yes,
It collects
Dr.
data
Madhavan.
on who speaks, in Parliament. I asked them to provide me data on the amount of speech of each MP. I think half the MPs don't speak at all.
Correct.
So nor do they participate. They vote, that's for sure. They are what is called lobby fodder. They just march in and press the button. So, actually, even a current size parliament, the participation is very limited thanks to the manner in which the speaker handles the opposition and the government. So a larger parliament won't make any difference. Just more seats, more money, and more waste of time.